Hey everybody, this is Jake, your resident content cowboy. Yeehaw! And the Returnal reviews are in. Yeah, they are the reviews for the game. Ba 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 ba. Let's be honest, I didn't plan exactly where that song was gonna go, and I don't think it turned out that well. Thanks for checking out this video. It's a review roundup. Yeehaw! One day there'll be sound effects there. So you and me, are going to go through these reviews together. We're going to take out some of the big takeaways, and we're going to see what the overall vibe is from the reviewers. Now, a lot of you may be saying, hey, Jake, I don't care about the reviews. I care about how I feel about the game. And you know what? You're right. That's exactly how you should feel about it. I just find this to be interesting, but it doesn't change my opinion of a game. There have been games that were rated kind of low that I thought were amazing, and there are often games that are rated very, very high that I don't care for at all. But I think this is fun. So let's head over to OpenCritic. Okay, here we are, opencritic.com, which, by the way, I love OpenCritic. It's just a better source than Metacritic. I think there are less ads, and it's better. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It's better. Let's take a look. Right now, we see that Returnal is at an average score of 86, pretty high. That's about where I thought it was gonna be, is high 8s, low 9s. I actually thought it would be a little higher, if I'm being honest, but whatever. Critics are recommending it at 88%. It has quite a good rating. Let's take a look at some of the reviews I've pulled. I'll start near the bottom and then work towards the better reviews as we go, so we can talk about some of the possible issues, but in the end, I'll leave you with something uplifting. And the reason for that is, I guess, I'm very excited about this game, so let's do it. Okay. We have a few low reviews from Paste Magazine. Magazine? Okay, Jake. Paste Magazine, a 6 out of 10. I'm cynical because, I mean, that's a tough way to start a review that you give a 6 out of 10 to, right? Especially when you're an outlier. It's like, hey, just so you know, I'm cynical. I'm cynical because the assumption that Housemarque, by the way, thank you to whoever pointed it out. It's not House Marquee. I was saying that wrong. The assumption that Housemarque has made here is that AAA games are a genre unto themselves, one whose form is based on cinematic regurgitation, excess, and the speed of disposability. And what sucks is they're slowly being proven right. So this review seems to be talking about bigger picture things that aren't necessarily wrong, but aren't necessarily this game's fault. I don't know if this game is a 6 or if this game is being made an example of, but that is their opinion. GamesBeat gives a 3 out of 5, which is also a 6 out of 10. Hey, just do the math. This lack of variety in the style of play makes every run feel samey, and they begin to blur together. That leads to a roteness that made me want to put the game down when I was struggling with the difficulty. I like challenging games, but roguelites need to walk a fine line between familiarity and routine. Familiarity is the warm embrace of something that feels like home, and routine is boredom and a poison for a game like this. The Gamer with 3.5 out of 10, which is a 7. At its core, Returnal is one of the most satisfying third-person shooters I've played. It's Hades via Vanquished. That does not sound like a 7 out of 10 to me, but fine. It forces you to meet it at its tempo and doesn't relent. It makes Doom Eternal seems like baby's first shooter. It's gorgeous, frenetic, and endlessly replayable. I just wish success wasn't so tied to luck. This is interesting because that's one of the takeaways I found in a lot of these reviews. Let's continue. Returnal is a game unlike any other, but with flaws and bugs like many other games. It's interesting because a few of the video reviews I've seen have mentioned bugs and the fact that the game crashes. In fact, I'm curious if this is something happening to you at home. I find that lots and lots of games crash on my PS5. Way more than they used to on my PS4. Maybe that's just a unique thing I'm dealing with, but I'm curious to know if you're also feeling that way. As we start to get to more Now we start to get into more positive reviews. Returnal brings smiles, combining relentless action with amazing people and a good story, but also a very atmospheric sound and deep lore. However, to enjoy it for 10 minutes, you'll probably spend hours irritated without feeling that you progress. So this is a reoccurring theme I've seen even in the positive reviews, that this game is very, very hard. Moving over to FilmWeb, you'll die a lot, but then you'll stand up and go deeper into madness. Housemarque made a brilliant piece of code, elevating bullet hell genre to another level. Now they can proudly stand among other AAA creators. This is an 8 out of 10. And they keep getting better from here, obviously. I won't mince words. If you're expecting to play through Returnal just for the story or expecting it to be like any other AAA PlayStation exclusive before it, then you should probably skip it altogether. Returnal is for those who are ready to grit their teeth for some truly unforgiving and punishing combat. Consider that a genuine warning. Again, more talk about it being hard, but also I play games for lots of different reasons. I love games with a great story, and I also love games that are just gameplay focused. Of course, when the two are married, it's beautiful, but I don't mind if a game doesn't have a good story. That's not the only thing I look for in a game, but it is of course a positive. Its roguelike runs are too long and needs a way to save in the middle of them, but Returnal's third-person shooter action, clever story, and atmosphere are excellent. This is pretty interesting because I've heard this a few times that the runs are really, really long. So I could understand that being a bit of a negative for some people. From Ben Ward at Next Gen Base, Returnal is a really strange beast. It's a game from a studio that have clearly been given the funding to make a big budget version of the type of game they want to, and it really shows. There's a very thin line between accepting that you made a mistake and ranting that the game screwed you over, and Housemarque have got it right with their mechanics. If you die, learn from it, go again. Thankfully, the PS5 makes this incredibly quick, and it'll have its hooks in you for just one more run. If I had to pick holes in it, I just wish there were a bit more performance to some of the upgrades you pick up, but I know this will diminish some of the purity of the game. While I know some of this will be met with derision at openly admitting to not quite finishing it, I can only hope that the impressions I've had of Returnal give you an idea of what to expect if you pick up this absolute gem of a title. Now, Housemarque, here's the yellow pages. Make a game based on that. I will say, for me personally, I don't care if a reviewer has finished a game and gotten every trophy or done all that. I know some people do. That's well within your right to believe that. But I think you can play a game for 20 hours and have a good impression of it even if you don't complete it. Because there are some games that I play for 20 hours and I like a decent amount and then I leave them. And if I had to put a score on them, I could. And then there are other games that I play, like what's springing to mind is Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I platinumed that game because I loved it so much. From Gaming Nexus, Returnal is a shining technical achievement, possibly the best looking game on PlayStation 5. With addictive gunplay, a brutal learning curve, and a focus on exploration and temporary buffs, roguelike fans will be in heaven. Be warned though, the difficulty level is not for everyone. Though I learned to love Returnal with time, many players may walk away frustrated. Another comment on the difficulty in this game. Now we're up at the really high score. This is a 9 out of 10. Returnal is undoubtedly one of Housemarque's best games and is a triumph for the PlayStation 5. The premise is interesting right off the bat, and the way the game feeds narrative breadcrumbs throughout the game only made me want to continue. With the tight gameplay that the studio is known for, along with intriguing story and blockbuster presentation, Housemarque hits all the right spots. Returnal sits as one of PlayStation's most unique exclusives. And now the top reviews. This is from God is a Geek. Returnal's fluid, graceful movement and satisfying, punchy gunplay combined with a sense of exploration at once both wondrous and morbid, and a drip-feed progression system that makes you feel like you're always discovering or unlocking something new. Sounds awesome. A perfect score from Daily Star. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing Returnal so far, and its unique die and start over mechanic, excellent graphics, gameplay, and sound all work brilliantly to deliver yet another fantastic first-party exclusive for the PS5. 10 out of 10 from GameSpew. Playing Returnal, it feels like next gen has truly begun. 10 out of 10 from PlayStation Lifestyle. Returnal is an essential PS5 title, now and throughout the console's life. Housemarque took the roguelike bullet hell formula and applied it to a AAA experience in a way that creates something exceptionally unique, yet wholly familiar. Returnal is an engaging experience in narrative, gameplay, and player discovery, consistently surprising on every level. Utilizing the PS5 technology in a way that most other developers are barely tapping into, Returnal feels like one of the first truly next-gen experiences, letting Housemarque set the stage for the new console. And like Housemarque games before it, it's the kind of game that will withstand the test of time, begging for additional cycles well into the future. Finally, from Game Rant, perfect score. Housemarque's Returnal is a shining example of what the studio is capable of, packing tight gameplay together with an interesting world. There are also reviews that don't have scores but have things like buy, recommend, liked a lot, or actually disliked from Game On AUS. ACG gave it a buy. I would definitely recommend checking out his video review. I really like ACG. And Yang Ye has a great video on this game. So there we have it. Some of the big takeaways that I noticed in this little review roundup. Game is hard as hell, so be prepared. Luck does play a factor, which is going to be interesting to see how that is going to affect my feelings on the game. I'm sure your mileage will vary depending on how unfortunate some of your runs are. The runs are really long, which could be good for some people, but also without some type of midpoint save feature, maybe you'd think, I can't get into another run right now because it takes 45 minutes or an hour plus to get to the end. People have said it's truly next gen. This is the first real next gen game. It's super unique, which is really cool for an exclusive game. It's not just an open world third person action game, and not that I don't love them. Ghost of Tsushima was one of my favorite games last year, but it's really cool that Sony has this super unique experience. The combat is fun and frantic, and it's bullet crazy, and you're gonna need some fast reflexes to survive. And then also an interesting side note that I have seen in some reviews and some video reviews, it might be a little buggy, and I'm wondering what that's gonna feel like when I hop in and play. Speaking of hopping in and playing, it's gonna come out later tonight. I'm gonna be streaming it. You can check me out over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Spraggles. Thanks for checking out this video. Thank you to everyone who likes, comments, subscribes. I love you all, and I will see you when I die and my spaceship crashes again.